What's up, guys? It's now time for another tutorial. This time it's another easy build, because I've been doing a lot of intricate stuff, and since last time I published an easy build, I got a lot of comments saying you gotta do more, so here's one more. This one's pretty easy. It's pretty cool. It's I've been playing so much with wires and stuff like that, and this is something actually that you can maximize the experiment of vaping on this coil. This coil is I call it the Shilded Clapton. It's actually a Clapton with a shield of ribbon over it, and we will make that wire and we will coil it parallel with some 24 gauge. So let's move on and let's see what you guys will need to attempt this build. Alright, so now that's what we will need to do this beautiful build. It's gonna be a stage build, so it's gonna stage heating build, sorry. We will need a 24 to stage it all. For our main wire, we will use some 28 gauge 34 gauge nichrome. The core will be 28. We will make a Clapton with 34. We will shield it with some 0.5 ribbon. You're gonna need a nice decent ATTY. In that case, I'm using the Coil Art Mage 2. I will use the RDA version of it. Alright, you will need a 3mm drill bit, a pair of scissors, some tweezers, the traditional cutters and long nose, a wicking tool, some wick obviously, and of course, in all those builds you need a drill. Alright, so you guys gotta get a drill, because in all builds, if you don't do basics, you will need a drill. So sometimes you don't see it, but get one. And another thing you need to get if you're new to this, it's a home reader, because you need to measure everything you do every time until you really know what you're doing. Alright, so let's move on. We're back. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some 28 gauge, I say about 30-35 centimeter. Alright, we're gonna cut a piece of it and we're gonna straight this piece of wire. And for you guys that don't know how to stretch a piece of wire, it's pretty simple. You take your wire, you put it in the chuck of your drill. It's always easier to work with a straight wire. Once it's in the chuck of your drill, what you do, you take the other extremity, you hold it with some pliers, you straight it, and you just give it a shot. That's it. It's not harder than this. See, and it's now straight. So the next step, we're gonna put it back in there to hold it. Alright, so the next step, we will take our 34 gauge, and me obviously I put it in on another roll with a bigger hole so I can put my finger in it, because you'll see the way I Clapton my things. Alright, first thing first, you take your wire and you just go ahead and do some hand wraps like this. Alright, and I always put it in an angle like this to put it in the chuck, so this way the wire locks itself in. And when you put wires in the chuck of your drill, always make sure it's centered in the middle of the chuck, because if it's not, it's gonna wobble right there and it's gonna break your wire as you're clapping it, right? Now, for people that know my video, they know this thing. This is just a plain tube, alright? Just a plain tube that I put my wire in. And the reason is to avoid the wire to wobble out of control and get knots and twists in it. This way it's free to spin, but never spin out of control. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and make that Clapton. There you go. We got the Clapton made. This is the 28 and 34. By the way, guys, if you don't have any 34 gauge, you can use 32. Alright, so now, as you can see, I fucked up right there at the beginning. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right there. But actually I'm gonna use it as for the chuck in my drill, because now we're gonna put this back in the chuck. Alright, now that's time where we take the ribbon, and this is a little tricky because we're gonna Clapton that ribbon over that Clapton. Alright, and it needs to be tight, alright, so there's not much of a space between the ribbons, just like when you do a Clapton. But the thing is, if they start getting overlapping, you might see what's gonna happen, because these shit happen often if you don't concentrate, and if you go too fast, this will happen too. Hopefully it won't happen, but you need to put it nice and tight on the wire without having the ribbon overlapping itself. Alright, so now let's put this back into the tube, and now I'm gonna try to zoom a little more. Let's try this. Oh, everything seemed to went fine and it didn't overlap. Let me show you guys closer view of this wire here. Just give me a moment so I can put this wire away. Alright, now you got your shield Clapton. I don't know if it zooms in, but that's how it's supposed to look like. Alright, this is a shield Clapton. There's a Clapton inside of this. Back for the making. And by the way, guys, you're gonna go ahead and take the 24 gauge, cut yourself about 30 centimeter, 35 centimeter, and you're gonna go ahead and straighten this. Please, you do that and we'll be right back. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take those two. We're gonna put them together and cut them in half. Alright, so now what you're gonna do is put them parallel to each other like this, but But what you gotta do is to face the plain wire on the outside. Always start with the plain wire, alright? You go ahead and you take your drill bit, make sure it's a 3mm drill bit, and you go ahead slowly without pulling. Never pull on this, you let it coil itself, alright? You're gonna go ahead and coil it real tight, about 6 wrap. Sorry, I said 6 wrap, but 6 wrap with the plain wire and 5 wrap with our intricate wire, alright? Once you get at the end, like this, zoom a little bit. Once you get at the end like this, since your plain wire is in the inside, once you got your 5 loop, you just take the last one, alright, and you have it do 1 more wrap just with this one, alright? That's it. Alright, so now I'm gonna zoom out so I can mount this. Once it's there, the leftovers, see all the leftovers, guys? I'd rather have you, since you practice, have a lot of leftovers like this, so that way you have leverage. And once you mount it, when you look at those ATTYs, you got 2 holes on each side. One is the positive, one is the negative. And if you look at the coil, the way it is, you got 1 branch on top, 1 branch in the bottom. So what you do is you put the branch in the bottom hole, and the branch on the top hole. Alright, you push it back in like this. What I do, I usually hold it with my thumb like this to keep it tight, just for this moment. Now I'm gonna just tight a little bit the nuts, not tight. Not tight, they gotta be loose still, alright? Just so they don't fall off. Okay, once it's there, we're gonna go ahead and take our long nose. We're gonna pull on it tight, and we're gonna bend it like this, alright? Then we do the same thing with the other one. The other one, since it has a wrap on it, like a Clapton, hold on tight. Like when you pinch on it tight, because otherwise you will pull the wraps. Alright? And if the wire, like you see here, it was on that side, bring it on the side that is actually is, and turn it. Because they're gonna cross inside there, and that's not good. That creates hot spots. Okay, once they're nice and tight like this, then you can go ahead and tighten the nuts. And holy smoke, I like this ATTY just because of the nuts. These are Phillips nuts. They're big, and you don't need to run for fucking Allen keys all the goddamn time. You can actually use the one you have in hand, and those one, they don't get stripped as easy as Allen key does. That's why I like it. So now once they're nice and tight, you pull outward to tighten it up again, and to make sure there's no contact here. Alright? Once this is done, you can remove it to see how good it looks. Me, I always like to keep it in. Once we're there, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the leads.
Can you hear me?
And one thing I always do before I put any other coil on is I clean these, you see, like you always have tiny little thing left. So what I do, I push them away, or I tuck them in.
Can you hear me? Here does.
So that way there's no wires gonna get in contact with any other wires on the other side. Alright, now it's nice and flat and it's nice. It's not gonna touch. So now we will take our, see me, I got like a second 3mm, which is pretty good, so I can leave this one in it so nothing happens to it. So now we do the same thing, put the plain wire on the outside and then coil it. Again, 5 wrap with the intricate and 6 with the plain wire. Alright.
Can you hear me? Fear does strange things to us.
See, it makes a really nice wire.
Watch your step. Cocked and ready.
And it's one step above those Clapton builds, those fused Clapton. Look how pretty it is. It looks pretty. But the thing is, they don't just look pretty. When I do tutorial, it's because they work fucking good. I don't do tutorials just because they look pretty. That is for a fact. Now I'm gonna remove this so it's not in the way. Sometime the bottom one, you see, I got my leads in my hand. I can cut this one about there, so I'm gonna pre-cut it this way. If I can avoid cutting the one in the bottom hole, it'll be good, because it's always trickier or harder once you got a coil already in place. Alright, but those tiny ones can be tricky to put in those holes though. What I do, I go and take my tweezers to help me out. So now are they in? We can even pull this, because that's the thing, guys. If you remove this, even if the coil move a little bit, once you'll put it back in, it's gonna get its place. Now I'm just gonna tie it up like I did on the other side, the nut, just so it stays in place. Since this one is back in, I'm gonna put back my screwdriver in. Now on this side, I'm gonna pull on the plain wire. Now I'm gonna pull on the intricate. So now it tightens up all the coil real nice. So now I'm gonna tighten this one up real tight. Okay. And on the other side, it already been, I don't need to cut anything. I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and tight. Okay. Now I got nothing touching. Let's put those two back in. 1 and 2. Make sure they're at equal distance. And now there's another little trick of mine. Alright, once you see, you need to cut those leads, right? But you're pretty damn close. So what I do is, this one, what I usually do, I mean, because I don't have that thing at the bottom, like the airflow at the bottom that you see like right here, because most of the time you can bend your coil downward. Alright, so you can go ahead and cut it, but unfortunately this one you can't. So I'm gonna hold it like this, and cut them. And when you do this, always be careful not to cut your coil. So now let me zoom out. So on that side, I'm just gonna make sure everything is clean. So all those little thing I showed you before, the leads coming out, you take a flat screwdriver and you flat them out, or you flat them away from the coil. Alright, this is very important so you don't have any shorts, because shorts, that's what breaks your wires, that's what kills batteries. So now we got ourselves a pretty decent build. You see, now we're gonna put this on a mod and we will spark this. Alright, see you in a moment. So first thing first, we're gonna go ahead, take the build and put it on a home reader. I suspect this build will be around 0.2. Alright, so let's see. 0.23. Alright, so that's pretty decent, really close to my target. Alright, so now I'm gonna put it on a mod, and I'm using, like a lot of you guys, this is the 50 watt Kangertech. Alright, so now what you gotta do, if you want to achieve colors, some people asking me, how do you do colors? Colors, it's by slowly pulsing your coil without having it come red. Alright, so now we'll try to achieve that. Oh yeah, that mod. I have issues with that mod a little bit, so I'm gonna have to put it on another one, on a bigger one, on my amazing Hammer of God V1. Let me fix this. Alright. See, guys, this mod, it's called Hammer of God. It's got 4 parallel batteries in it. It's the Hammer of God V1. The first one came out. That's the most safest mod on the market. It looks big, looks scary, but this mod is the safest to me. You can actually build anything with it. So what you gotta do now, it's just slowly pulse it and make sure your coils are nice and tight on it. Pretty nice. You see, you got colors, you got some nice blue and purple, and yes, that's what it looks like. Alright guys, so now you have yourself some decent coil to vape. Now we're gonna have to wick that baby in one moment. I'll take a few shots of it so you guys can see it closer. Alright, see you in a moment. Okay, now it's time for wicking. So I'm using some Japanese cotton. I'm using the pads, and when you wick something, you're gonna get used as the size you need to cut them, because that's the thing. In wicking, it can't be too tight and it can't be too loose. Very important. Like, you need a little resistance like this, but not more than that. Alright, because it needs to be really loose in it. Not really loose in it, but tight so you can pull on it, and you know, like this. But if you hold on to it, it's gonna pass right through it. Alright, that's what you need to do. Second of all, when you put wick, you never put the wick too much in the bottom. Alright, what you gotta do in all of them, it's pretty much the same as in tanks. Alright, the wick, the two sides has to just touch the bottom of the well like this. Alright, that's it. It can't be laying down like this and stuff like that. It just has to touch the bottom of the well just like this. And if you got ATTYs with little grooves in the bottom, you put those two little things into those grooves. Alright, in this case, this RDA turned into a tank, so it has 4 holes right here. Alright, so the wick, you just dip it again just in that hole, just like this. Simple as this. Alright, and the hole is pretty deep. That's why I got long like this, because most of the time the wick get cut about there. Alright, so now take your time and place it well, so you don't have to do it over again once it's all disgusting, all like sticky, full of juice. Alright, simple as this. So as you can see on this, it goes right at the bottom. It doesn't touch the airflow hole, because if the wick touch this hole right here, it's gonna leak through this one all the time, because the juice will have contact with that hole. Alright, so this is done, so let's do the other side now. When I cut my cotton, I always cut it in a tiny little angle. So I got one side that is smaller than the other, and the smaller side, that's the one I actually twist. And you know, when you're using juice and stuff like that, you get dirty fingers. See how dirty that is? A lot of people been saying, you know, man, oh, wash your fingers because it tasted in the wick. Well, this part gets cut, so all you get in this, it's white pure cotton. Because you guys must know that juice, when you got some on your hands, everything stick to them. So you get dirty hands really quick. Alright, so now once again, let's put this in it at the bottom of that tiny little hole. Make sure it doesn't touch the airflow holes. And once again, guys, I suggest everybody to try this ATTY. Well, this ATTY, it's actually not an ATTY, it's a RDTA that transforms into a RDA. And I love both, but since I got another version of well, I don't have another version, but I have the EazyBuildz by COIL also, and has the same thing but not the same deck. I'm gonna talk about all of those pretty soon in a review. But for now, this is what you guys should get. Simple as that, guys. Alright guys, time to try this monster. You guys gonna love it. I'm pretty positive. And what I'm vaping on, it's one of my girlfriends. I like to call these liquid my girlfriends because I love them all. Alright, this one, it's a Zaza. Ooh, Zaza. Zaza's pretty awesome. They're from here. what is it? NBE liquid. Sorry guys, these guys are from Quebec, and I can't really say nothing about it because law avoid me to do so. And check this out. You know guys, this is a badass build. It's a 0.2 build that everybody can try, and it does like good job, really good job, very tasty, very thick, and very flavorful. So this is it guys. I call this one the Shilded Clapton build. Hope you guys like. Not so hard to do. Keep watching. I will do probably the next one's gonna be a more intricate build, but I will keep on doing those easy build for you guys more often. Damn, I love this one. And by the way, for the people that watch my videos in the past, some reviews and stuff like that, I was reviewing with a certain build, saying like, this build, I've been vaping on it for a while, they're fucking crazy. Well, that's the one. And the only variation that I made on this one is made on a 3mm drill bit instead than 2. And the coil was longer, was like 7 wraps instead than 5 like this one. Alright, so hope you guys enjoy. Please comment. Most of all, subscribe, like, and share. Alright guys, so keep watching and see you on the next video. Probably a review, juice review. I will do some gear review because there's the Coil art products coming up pretty soon. So thick. So build safe. Make sure you have a home reader. If you're new at this, always measure your builds. You gotta be safe when you do things like that. Don't skip any parts. You gotta go on YouTube. There's plenty of video about battery safety, about home law. You guys got to know these things before you attempt anything. Alright, so see you on the next one. Peace.